Mulingana, stories from Eastern Province, Zambia. Episode 6, Life on the Compound. What draws me back, year after year, to Eastern Province, Zambia? I have my ongoing obligation to Kechi's schooling, but I could do that just by sending money out from the UK, and yet I do the long trip year after year. There's two things to talk about to try and answer that question: the environment and the people. As to the environment, well, as an overview, the compound is a collection of small houses, many hundreds around the town, a maze of uncharted tracks that can become rivers in the rainy season. Within a compound, you have individual compounds. Now we zoom in on the Ngwenya compound, Alice and Kechi's family place. It's a big piece of land, big enough to easily contain 4 houses, although it started with just 1. This is now my home from home. The bare earth around Alice's house, swept every morning. You don't want grass there because it can hide snakes. But anyway, mostly there's no rain to keep it growing. Alice works hard to keep house, and I've never ever heard her complain. Cleaning house, doing all the washing by hand for her and her kids, and then doing the cooking most days for the whole family.
Every day when I wake up, I have to sweep the house. Also outside the house, I have to make sure that I do the washing every morning. Also, because I'm the big sister to the family, so I have to cook for my children, but not only for my children. They are my 2 brothers, my mother and my father, so I also have to look after them.
Gracing Alice's compound, in front of her house, we've got orange, lemon, mango, guava trees. And over the other side of the triangular plot, there's a flamboyant tree with its beautiful crimson flowers. Just sitting and watching the chickens, or the clouds growing impossible towers in the rainy season, I'm content. When it does rain in that rainy season, you have to dive indoors as torrents of water are hurled from the towering clouds. The drops, hard as bullets, threaten to punch holes through the metal sheets of the roof. We cook on a mbaula, charcoal brazier, in the porch or in the shade under a tree. Alice maybe asks me to chop the onions and tomatoes. Kechi might come and help me. Her deafness means we work together in companionable silence, occasionally giggling at some little thing. Sometimes I cook, but not the staple food in Shima. This must be cooked just right. Maize meal cooked into a thick consistency, so it can be picked up and moulded in the hand to scoop up vegetables and sauce. The onion and tomato sauce is called soup. Meat is rare because expensive. The most common meat is a village chicken. We would call this free-range chicken, but here it's the chickens that run around in the compound, as opposed to broilers, which are bought as day-old chicks and raised in a chicken house. Here's a story from Alice about how if you had meat for lunch, it was very special, and the kids make a point of showing off the bone to the other kids on the compound, casual like, "Yeah, we had meat today." Let Alice tell us the story.
I remember when I went to visit my brother in the village. This niece of mine just reminded me of my past when we were also young, what we used to do. In the village, we can be eating. We don't know that there are people called vegetarian, first of all. So for us, you can be eating some vegetables throughout maybe 2 months. Now it comes a time when your mother has cooked a village chicken. It is always some village chickens. There are no boiler chickens, especially in the village. Or when we were growing up, there were no boilers. All we know was when you are eating chicken, it was village chicken, which is a very, very delicious. So what will happen is that when you are served the village chicken, all you'll be eating is soup, because there will be no veg. We didn't know that eating some repu or greens are vegetables, which other guys will cook and say, have you cooked the vegetables? For us, there were no vegetables. We didn't know that they were vegetables which they will go with the meat. So if it is meat, it is meat on. If it is vegetables, it is vegetables on. We'll be eating soup with nsima, and a little bit of meat. Soup with nsima and a little bit of meat. Mind you, there were no, I can say there are no side plates. You put your meat on the other hand, at the left hand. You are using the right hand to eat. You keep your meat on the left hand. So when you are eating that meat, you have to make sure that you leave some, so that you can go around the village showing your friends that today we have eaten meat. Today we have a very special meal for us. It was a very special meal.
What I want to emphasize here is that this would be classified as a third world country. For sure, there is extreme poverty here, but there is also extreme poverty in Europe, the UK, United States. Maybe just that there's more of it here. But standards are different, especially if you judge from the standpoint of rampant consumerism. But actually, there is now growing interest in the West to living a more planet-friendly life, which often means simpler. And I don't believe that you can apply the capitalist model here either. There's very little money, very few jobs. Chief Mangombe, I talked about him in earlier episodes, told me of the cooperatives that were working in his village and the surrounding farms. I think they are the way forward here. The communities here naturally help each other anyway. There's a savings and loan scheme running on the compound which cuts out the profit taken by the banks. Anyway, most people in rural areas don't have a bank account. It's a simpler life, and people are far more resilient. In the West, we depend on supply chains. If something happened to them and supermarket shelves became empty, things would look very different in just a few days. Here, the main supply chain is rain. The rainy season happens between November and March. If it fails at any point, there is no crop, and sooner or later, no water in the wells, and a failing electricity grid. That happened this year. It's going on right now. Alice and I talked a while back about rainfall-dependent agriculture, the problems that go with it.
Most people who do agriculture are small-scale farmers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they grow enough food just for their own food?
Yeah, just for... Mainly it is for them, for their own, and then maybe little to sell.
If the harvest fails one year, then we're in trouble, aren't we?
Yes. It means we are in a very, very big trouble.
So people go hungry?
Yes, a lot of people go hungry because we mostly depend on our neighbors, like the community. We always help each other. So you find that maybe the fields are at the same area. And then so when we have drought, it means the whole community will be affected. So we'll be like nowhere to go.
Okay.
So, yeah, I remember there was a very big problem. We had hunger in the community, like...
The rains didn't come.
Yeah. And then I remember my mother sending me to this friend of him. He was like, they come to the same village. So they were looking upon each other like brothers. Then I went there, since him was a nurse, he was like comfortable. So I had to go there to beg for meal. Unfortunately, I didn't find the man I used to call my uncle. I just find his daughter. Then he was like, I'm sorry, my father is not here, so maybe you can come tomorrow. My tears were just coming out. See, so that is what we pass through when there is drought.
I'll balance that story with a good time story. When I got stuck in Zambia in the COVID time, it meant I was there for harvest time. That year, 10 ox carts bringing maize cobs back from the field, a record. Then, sitting with Mrs. Ngwenya and others, day after day, beating the dry corn out of the cobs. She has very little English and my Chinyanja is rubbish, but we managed to laugh a lot. Unlike the time another year when she came back from the field trying to hide her tears from us. The crop was ready, a good year that year, and young boys supposed to be herding cows from a nearby village had lost the plot and wandered off. Those cows trampled or ate the whole crop. 5 months of back-breaking work destroyed in half an hour. Life can be very hard. I asked Alice recently, are you content with your life? Yes, she replied. As long as we have enough food and a house to live in, I am content. She went on to say that the problem with going to school is that you learn what it's like in so-called modern society. We would call it the consumer society, besieged by advertising, urged to buy more and more things that we may not even need. So my question would be, maybe the schools are teaching the wrong thing in trying to teach a Western way of life as something to be copied. So many of us now in the West are seeing that we have to revert to a simpler, more planet-friendly way of life. And in that respect, we have so much to learn from Alice and her community. I also asked her, don't you think it's strange that I like to come here and hang out on the compound? She knows some of my history, that I was in the past quite well off. I loved my fast cars and had a somewhat hedonistic lifestyle. So it seemed strange at first to her and her mother. Now, she tells me, they know me better, and they accept that I genuinely love being here in this simpler life. I mentioned before, Alice even started building me a house. That's house number 4 on this compound. And we finished it with the help of some of my money. So now I don't have to stay in the lodge anymore. I have very simple friendships here. Other people from my culture, even some friends back home, told me, watch out. They think you have money, so the people you meet in poorer countries will give you friendship, but their motive is to get at that money. A message that was emphasized time and again by the director of the lodge that I used to stay in. Truth be told, I'm always careful about that, but just think, that's very insulting to people who genuinely offer their friendship. Sure, I've been burned here, mostly by one guy who I started trusting because he helped me, but then it seems he got greedy. But I was burned much worse by my financial advisor back in the UK in my richer years. The fact is, if you constantly have your guard up against others, you only colour your relationship with them with your own guardedness, the darkness of a closed heart. It's as if you make your fears come true. Live your own life, find your true feelings and express them. That's my gospel. Then as I become honest to myself, it's easier to see the lie in another. Not always, but the guy I told of who cheated me, I saw what was happening and shared my thoughts with Alice. But we needed something from him that he was trying to arrange for me. A tricky juggling act that eventually fell apart. So all this homespun philosophy I'm coming out with doesn't mean I'll believe anything and anyone. But I can't live in suspicion of everyone. It's a stifling, suffocating way to live for me. I have to choose who to trust, of course. But then, having made my choices, just go with them. And my friendships here are both uncomplicated and profound. Love between friends can be slow to grow, but then become deep as an ocean. Let's hear from Khalil Gibran again. His words are far more beautiful than mine. This is a few lines from his chapter on friendship in the book, The Prophet. And when your friend is silent, your heart doesn't stop listening to their heart. When you part from your friend, don't be too sad, because that which you love most in them may be clearer in their absence, as the mountain is clearer to the climber from the plain below. And let there be no purpose in friendship except the deepening of the heart's understanding. For love that seeks anything except that deepening of the heart's understanding is not love, but a fishing net thrown out into the water, and only worthless things are caught. And let your best be for your friend. If they must know the low points of your life, let them know your fullness and joy also. For what is your friend that you should go to them because you have nothing better to do? Go to your friend always to share life. Let your friend be there to fill your need for companionship, but not to fill your emptiness. And in the sweetness of friendship let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. These days I spend a bit of extra money on travel. I've done the bus from Lusaka to Katete, a long 7-hour trip, but the worst thing about that is going to Lusaka bus station. You stand out a mile as a white face, and people try to hustle you to let them carry your bags. If you let them, then they'll probably disappear faster than you can blink. It's happened to people I've met who've lost passports, all their money, etc. You have to be sharp, and preferably traveller savvy, friendly to everyone but knowing where your stuff is at all times. These days, I use a driver who will meet me at the airport. Alice and Ketty come, and it's a joyous meeting. I said that I would do an episode on my journey in the crazy COVID time. It's a good story which is funny now, though at that time that was most definitely not the word I would use to describe either the outward or return trips. I'll see you there at the check-in counter next time.
Hardships living things go through, about the nesting of swallows.